Hello, hello.
Our marketplace, and welcome back to our Y Combinator application.
Welcome everybody. We can email this by the way to guests who couldn't make it tonight.
Yeah.
So we're
Oh,
recording it anyway.
somebody just joined. At least I got an email that there is somebody in my waiting room.
All right, cool. So John, you want to share your screen and everything?
Yeah, let's go ahead. Is it shared properly?
No.
Yeah, we can see it.
Well,
Yeah. Awesome. Guys, welcome to Online Stock Investment Meetup Group. We're Investing Hub, and we're going to cover pharma stocks today. Join us at Meetup. If you search Online Stock Investment Weekly Meetup, it's every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to be covering a wide range of topics such as different types of industries, different investment strategies. We want it to be as interactive as possible. So
Yeah, we have full-time
everybody,
jobs and we don't usually like do it alone. So we started doing this actually a couple of months back. And it's been really helpful. So I wanted to
oh
open it
yeah.
up.
I mean, even just the three of us putting our three heads together has been much better than just one. So opening it up to more people, more topics, more discussion, and more due diligence just seems like the next step.
Yeah.
for sure, for sure. So I guess before we jump on pharma stocks, just a little bit about ourselves. So the meetups group's name, Online Stock Investment Weekly Meetup. And as organizer, we're named Investing Hub. Between ourselves, we've got 30 years of combined retail trading experience, just as retail traders. And like we alluded, like we're just gonna share opinions, strategies,
It's not
also common
financial advice.
frustrations. It's not financial advice yet,
No.
forever.
I would say, don't say yet. It's never going to be financial
Yes.
advice.
Yes. And yeah, I mean, we believe in the power of collaboration. So everyone, welcome. Just maybe quickly about ourselves. I think you want to go first.
Yeah, like John alluded, I have over 10 plus years of retail investing. I did make some money, but most of that time I was alone. Basically, it's just like following the trends on whatever's on Twitter or something, and it didn't usually go well. So when I actually started thinking about in like what I invest in and learning about it, that's when I actually started actually seeing some returns. It's not crazy returns like you would see on Wall Street bets, but it is stable and good returns definitely. And the companies are like I usually just invest in the ones that I believe in and actually make sense.
Mm.
And I'm an engineer,
And
so I'm not a financial trader by trade or anything like that.
great. And I guess, is it right to say that you are more interested in tech and AI stocks nowadays?
Yeah,
Or
yeah. I mean, because I'm an engineer, I guess I'm more driven to like pick stocks that are more tech oriented. I know a lot about AI, so I am interested in the future of that. I am also interested in space exploration, space mining. There aren't that many companies just yet. They're coming though, and I'm definitely watching them on a couple of hubs actually, marketplace too.
I did not know
sounds
that about
awesome.
you, FA. I want to, not right now. I'd love to pick your brain about that.
Yeah, totally. Maybe we can do a discussion about it sometime.
Would love to.
For sure. Joseph, you want to go next?
Yeah, my name's Joseph Hadaway. So I do want to kind of get this out there now. That does say financial services as my occupation. That is true. I do work in the retirement industry. If you're in the US, I specialize primarily in 401ks, cash balance, 403b. If you have a 457 plan, I can work it, but please never ask me to because it's the biggest pain in my neck. Um, but that said, I also have, I guess I'm going on going on 5 years now as a finfluencer, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. Unfortunately, TikTok. Not a big fan, but you got to do what you got to do. Whatever
Yep.
puts the food on the table.
Yep.
Whatever. No, actually, I'm not gonna make that joke. Not on the Pharma week. Um, but yeah, I hate to also say this because like half of these influencers on the internet, my primary focus is really into dividend investing. I'm a big fan of passive income, and I'm a firm believer that dividend investing is the only true form of passive income in the world,
In the
Yeah.
world, including everything else.
Because you
including
don't have to
everything
do
else.
anything, well, except you basically risk your whole capital on that one
Mhm.
stock that gives dividend. But
No risk, no reward, no pain, no gain. Fa.
that's true. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the risk is much more minimal, I guess.
That
Yeah.
also, I mean, I'm a firm believer in don't put in any investing in a way is like gambling. Don't put in any money that you can't afford to lose.
Yep. That's
I
totally
agree.
true. Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
think the
John,
first step to invest is saving, right? You need to have
yep.
savings to start investing. Otherwise,
So
it's
John,
not
who
a
are
great
you?
advice. Who am I? I am a fintech professional for the last 12, 13 years. I'm a director at a company specializing in online payments and online credit card, debit card acquiring. In terms of my style of investing, obviously a lot of fintech because I'm mostly like daily talking to them or get to know about like what's on the pipeline. So I'm really familiar with the industry globally as well. But also lately, I've been trying to pick up elements of value trading in terms of a long-term portfolio. And I'm trying to find stocks that are, looking healthy-ish as a dip and buy it there, just forget about it. That's my strategy for now. I don't do day trading. I don't trust myself about this. I'm not technical enough to be able to execute it, well. So I do more, stick to like long-term investments in companies that I see there's like potential and good pipeline, good managements. Those are like things that I mostly look at. Like I look at their managements as much as their financials and where they're from. That's how I found out NVIDIA actually. Like looking at NVIDIA's board, there were 4 or 5 professors of different subjects. That really sparked interest because like when you look at other companies' boards, like even though tech companies, there's most people from business background, whereas these guys had like a really diverse board. And back then the stock was $176. Right now it's like 900, and it's been
Yeah.
like less than 2 years almost.
Yeah, I have the same story. Definitely when I first started investing in Nvidia, I literally bought Nvidia back then.
Yeah.
See, I'm that
I
guy
think we
who
have a
did.
joiner.
We do.
Yeah.
I think
Hello.
someone just joined. Manny.
Yeah.
Hi, Manny. Thanks for joining.
Yeah. Feel free to either listen to us or just say hi, whatever works for you, or you can just say hi on the chat too.
Yeah,
But yeah,
we love this to be an ongoing discussion. If you have any thoughts, please.
yeah. So why don't we actually get into what we were gonna talk about?
I agree. Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. So today's topic is pharmaceutical industry. And I guess before we begin, in terms of the industry standard classification, there's 11 GICs that splits each individual stock to different industries, basically. But there could be a combination, of course. So one stock could be an energy slash industrial stock, for example. And when we were talking with Joseph while we were preparing these slides, like we were talking amongst ourselves, amongst the 11 industries, there's almost not a single one that pharma isn't affiliated with. Like pharma is definitely affiliated with energy, materials, industrials, utilities, like one way or another. Some of them really indirectly. Obviously, it's part of healthcare as the blanket one, but even the rest, like they are strongly affiliated. I was thinking, what was the one that we said, Joseph, that's maybe less likely? I guess it was real estate, we were saying, but then we decided maybe not even leave that
Yeah.
out.
When you and I were creating this, like exactly right. Real estate was the one that we said was a little, but then we kind of talked about it. And if you really want to, kind of stretch pharma into like, your CVS, your Walgreens, I guess, is Rite Aid still a thing? I don't think Rite Aid's a thing anymore.
Well, it's still a thing in some places, I think.
I would say they just tore down the one in my town, and it's about to be a 7-Eleven. So, but that said, yeah, even if you don't want to count it, as an exact pure play real estate stock, CVS, Walgreens are very similar to McDonald's in the location, location, location. And that real estate and the value of that real estate, where they're putting the store and the pharmacy, really makes or breaks it.
Sure.
Yeah, and whenever you see like a Walgreens, you always see another CVS right there too. It's like that.
In the same block.
Yeah,
I mean, it's almost like if it's good for one of them, it's good for both.
it's true.
Very true. Yeah, so it was interesting. So like you will most likely see stocks that span across at least two, sometimes more industries. So it's rare that you see one stock that's only sort of like affiliated or directly impacted by one industry. Everything's very much like linked to each other. And even consumer staples, right? Like a lot of drugs nowadays, non-prescription, you can just buy it over the counter. So
yeah,
supermarkets is a big, I guess, marketplace for it. Yeah,
allergy medication, pain medication. It's a staple of basically every single household you go into at this point.
basically. Yeah. And it takes me to the next point, because it seems like this trend is not limited to, but more obvious in North American perspective, right? So this is the total market cap shared by like different regions. And 45% of pharmaceutical market in terms of like actual sales and financials are affiliated with North America. North America being Canada and the US. Obviously, Canada and the US isn't 45% of the global population. So you can see proportionately per capita spending is quite high in North America.
So why is that? Is that because there's like free advertisement here? So what does that mean in terms of investing into a drug company? Should we be investing to ones that are like more specialized in the North American space then? Is that what that means?
Well, let me actually throw that question back at you, FA. I'm U.S. born and raised. I've really barely left the country, and even then, I have no experience living outside of it. As someone who kind of grew up in a more, per this map, European background, if you don't mind me asking, what was that like? I guess, I don't know if you want to use the phrase back home, but was the pharmaceutical and medical culture the same?
That's a good question. So basically in Europe, you don't get like the advertisement stuff, and usually everything is much cheaper than it is in the US, because I guess there's like a generic thing going there, or all over there. It's like here, the drug companies, they are the ones like uh, we basically find the drugs here and then we sell them overseas, and they basically just make new copies of them and just sell it cheap. So basically that kind of creates a dynamic where the companies that are investing in them needs to make the money, and they make the money most in the US because the other companies are not beholden by the same laws as much as in the US. So my experience living abroad, because I lived half my life in Europe and half my life in the US, so I know both of them. It's much easier to get drugs in Europe than it is here. But also it is much cheaper in there. So the revenue that you would generate in Europe is not as much as you would generate in the US. I guess that actually reflects in this graph too.
Can I piggyback off that a little bit? Am I incorrect in saying that there are stronger consumer protection laws in Europe over like what drugs can cost?
Oh yeah, totally. There are like limits. Maybe John knows a little bit more than that, more about that
I mean,
than me.
I can guess. I think your answers were pretty much like there, but one thing that I guess that contributes to this result is just generally how the healthcare system is formulated, right? Like at least here in Canada, I'm sure it's probably similar or the same in the States. Unless you have a company or private plan, your drug isn't covered by the government, right? Unless your income is like low or something. Whereas in Europe, it's universal. So usually if you get a prescription drug, chances are it's going to be covered mostly like by the governments or some sort of a government's incentive initiative. And I guess in the States and Canada, like it's usually like private benefits companies that cover. And I guess maybe just the way that it is formulated, those benefit companies, governments, pharmaceutical companies, they kind of like work to hike the prices artificially, I'm guessing, because even the same branded drug can cost way less in some other countries. So I guess that's also something to be considered.
So
It's not just drugs, but also healthcare services are also way more costly from what I'm seeing in North America. So
yeah, it totally is. But I mean, if you're insured, it's usually not a problem. But if you're not insured, then it's a huge problem. But
you're
that
correct.
basically just means like from an investor point of view, like they make a lot of money basically, right? So and that's
Yeah,
what we
their
want to see as
margins
investors.
are much higher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not looking at it through a patient lens. As if I look at it through a patient lens, it's abysmal that I have to pay so much money. But from an investor's point of view, it makes it a little bit it's a little bit better. So then, what what should we be investing in basically um, when it comes to like drug companies? So I know you
Mm.
have a couple of picks, John. So maybe
So,
we can go through some of them.
yeah, we've got 3 picks this week. We've got NVO, we've got
No,
AbbVie
no
and
spoilers.
BioNTech.
Yeah, no spoilers.
No
Well,
spoilers.
well,
Okay,
there.
well,
Well, Snape kills Dumbledore. There we go. All right. Um,
go for it, Joseph.
so
It's
yeah,
your pick.
FA said that John picks stocks, and I think he's selling me short. So
I'm sorry. You guys picked.
My pick this week was Novo Nordisk. Of course, pharmaceutical company is what we're here for. Founded in 1923, 101 years ago, if you can't do that quick math in your head. And their headquarters is in a town that I'm not going to try to pronounce in Denmark. They are a Danish company. So kind of picked Novo Nordisk because they've been really blowing up lately. Stocks up really, what, about 383% over the last 5 years, 62% last year over year. And then I think like pushing 25, 26% year to date. Am I right, John?
About there, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the main thing that they've been gaining market cap on, where that like 26 ridiculous percent gain is coming from this year, is on you know it, you love it, you've probably heard of it, Ozempic. The supposed miracle wonder drug. Do you have a bad habit? Ozempic can cure it. Supposedly.
Yeah.
None of this is not financial advice, and let's go ahead and add this too, boys. This is not medical advice. They also have an anti-obesity medication, Wegovy, I think is how you say that.
I think so. Yeah.
But kind of looking at it, so their current market cap is about 441 billion. So since Ozempic started blowing up, and you see a lot of their growth the last year of year started back in like October, November, when Ozempic was proved to like, I mean, God, there's some people are saying it'll even stop like drug addiction. Their market cap is up like more than $250 billion since then. And that is solely on the hope that Ozempic is going to be that, again, new one-size-fits-all miracle drug. Current stock price, about $128. I think we went down about $126.46 at close today. These numbers are as of yesterday. And of course...
Sorry to cut you off.
No, I was going to say, so kind of looking at like the financials of the company, they're kind of an interesting one. I didn't put this up here, but from like really 2019 through about late 2022, EPS every quarter was about the same, hovering from like the mid 20s to like the low 40s in cents per share. And then starting in 2023, really Q2 2023, jumped up to 62 cents a share, almost double what it was a year ago. And then even when they report earnings here a month from today, May 2nd, looking at consensus is 77 cents a share, which is still up like 40% ish from Q1 2023. And from their last actual report, we have the data that is Q4 of 2023, came in at 71 cents a share, which is a 71 or 72, excuse me, percent increase year over year. So like the company's got solid financials, but what really kind of made me pick this more so was, of course, the value of a stock is the present value of all future dated cash flows. So what's making the stock go up is hope for the future. And my question to you guys and to anybody in the chat or anybody watching this, let's say Ozempic comes out to be some absolute miracle drug. It can cure any bad habit, you name it. What would that do to the market? I mean, the upside, I mean, at this point on hope alone, Ozempic is a $250 billion, miracle drug. How much higher could NVO run if Ozempic works just as well, if not better, than some of the people on TikTok are saying?
I think that's a great question. So there's obviously an epidemic going on with the drug stuff. If you look at any major city in the US, you'll see good examples of that. So if this is if as helpful as it is, then I would expect it to basically double this even more. Like this because this would be like a lifesaver for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
And at the same time, on the other end, there are companies that are actually selling those drugs. So like the oxycodone and the stuff like that. So what would that mean for those companies? Because their basically primary customers are these drug addicts. If they were to be gone, would that mean those companies like Pfizer would they go down?
That's a solid question.
Very solid
I
question,
mean,
yeah.
especially if you're looking at Ozempic just as a as a drug prevention or a drug addiction, but I mean, they even say Ozempic can cure like obesity. What would that do to like McDonald's? What would that
Yeah,
do to Coca-Cola, Pepsi? I
or
mean,
Marlboro or
yes.
alcohols. All
Yeah,
those.
like Constellation Brands. Everyone raise a Modelo at home, please. Um, but like, what would that do to like basically every other consumer staple or consumer discretionary stock?
It's
Like,
gonna change the landscape,
even
right?
down to the
Yeah.
point, I mean, this could kill like casino gambling stocks, even supposedly. Again,
Mhm.
supposedly, we are not. We
Right.
are. Think of whatever you think a doctor is. John F. and I are the opposite.
Yeah. Or the voodoo.
So,
But yeah, I mean, it's still a good question to like think about. It's like if you're, I wouldn't necessarily short those stocks per se, but I
No,
would maybe like think twice about investing in them very long term because this kind of drug, did this one like pass the trials? It's in the market right now?
it is, but not for like everything they say it is. It's in, I think, for like type 2 diabetics.
yeah.
All the other like it can stop you again, like drugs or weight loss and everything, is just a quote unquote happy side effect. It is not FDA approved to treat any of those
Yes,
things.
I was gonna say
Maybe yet, maybe never.
they
Who's to
cannot
say?
market it yet or
Yes.
never. I guess. They
Yeah.
cannot market it as anti-habits, like bad
So
habit thing.
yeah. So I mean, it's just something to watch for. But I mean, when it comes to actually investing in this stock, I do think there's future in it. But to like segue back into the discussion that we had about Europe versus United States, this is a European company. But
Yes.
I guess does it go two ways? Because American companies might not make as much money in Europe, but does European companies make as much money in the U.S.? Probably yes.
Well,
Yes.
actually, I can speak on that. Uh, FA, how much does a month's supply of Ozempic without insurance cost in the U.S. on average?
I have no idea how much.
Roughly $1,000.
Oh wow.
Wow.
How much does it cost Novo Nordisk to manufacture a month's supply of Ozempic and import it to the U.S.?
Five,
$6.
five
Four
dollars.
$4.48.
We were very
So I
close.
mean,
Yeah.
I mean that's already right there, like a 2,000, 20,000% markup.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
problem is
that's
though,
pretty good.
yeah, no one
Is it?
noticed will not make the gross margin though, right? Like there's a lot of things that
Do
factor in,
they?
right? Like
Yeah. Do they allow that much money to be spent on drugs in Europe too, or is
I
that just
was,
the
I
American
was say, I don't know
policy?
about Europe,
they
but I
don't.
mean, we saw it with Pfizer and the COVID vaccine. Pfizer was producing those for like 60 cents a pop and selling them to the US government for like 250.
Mhm.
Don't nobody look up that stat.
$20.
um
Yeah, I mean,
and
so definitely a good, like, strong thing that you picked here, Joseph. I think.
And
Yeah,
to go back, I did want to add this in as well. Going back to Novo Nordisk as strict from a strictly business perspective, um, they recently announced a 2.1 billion Danish krone buyback, which, if you're like me and you have no idea what the krone is worth, that's about 303 million US dollars, which is definitely on the higher end of stock buybacks we've seen in the last few years.
absolutely. Yeah, especially
So,
in healthcare, I guess.
yes, especially in healthcare. So Novo Nordisk is, I mean, that's a pretty big bet on the future. Like, quick financial principle for anyone who didn't know. A stock buyback is basically a company signaling to the market they think their stock is undervalued.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, so they're buying back equity basically.
yes. And also, John, if you wouldn't mind clicking out of the PowerPoint, there was a great
Yep.
article on this posted.
Yeah, that was here, I think.
Yes, yes, it was. This
The
is
Pharma.
marketplace.com.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was kind of saying, and this is a bit of a due diligence that one of our users helpfully did help me out. I think this was just yesterday too. Great minds think alike. Um, Kind of looking at citing the Motley Fool here, which is a pretty reputable site, I would say.
Mhm.
They believe at least that with Ozempic and anti-obesity medication, and also if you pull up the rest of Novo Nordisk's upcoming pipeline, could become one of the most valuable companies in the world. You know, who knows? Maybe
Mhm.
3-4 years from now, we're not talking about Nvidia, we're talking about Novo Nordisk.
Yeah, I mean, what comes after the AI bubble? It's definitely biotech and CRISPR stuff. I believe in that.
CRISPR is my vet.
Yeah.
But also, I if you have time like this weekend, I would love to just pick your brain about space mining because that sounds so
Oh
cool.
yeah. Yeah. Like I said, we can do another podcast or like a meetup about that too. About
I'll,
we'll just speak too. Like, I'm down to talk about space anytime.
I was about to say, how about in about how about 3 weeks from today, I buy you a coffee and we chat.
Sounds good. um.
Joseph, for the
Yeah.
good
So
pick.
this is a good one actually. We do have this on the portfolio for the hub, right?
We do, yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Also, John, could you pull that up as well?
The portfolio, yes, sure, of course.
Yes. Kind of a good time to share that. Over here, this is marketplace.com. I can put that in the chat or one of you can, doesn't really matter. Um, a collaboration site that we three all use. Or what I mean, that's me right there. I'm the most recent post on this portfolio. If you don't believe me, that's me.
Yeah.
About Novo Nordisk even. Or a collaboration site where we like to meet up with our fellow retail investors and have these talks.
Yeah. Offline or online. There's like a
Yes.
chat there too. But like basically, it's just a portfolio of all what we all think it should be. So NVO is in there. So today was a bad day in the stock market, unfortunately. So everything's red. But
Yeah.
we're thinking long term here a little bit. So
And to add in, totally free to join.
yeah. Um.
Awesome. I guess one thing that we missed though, they also pay a dividend.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Oh well, the dividend investor. I don't know. I hot take any stock under about 1%. I'm not sure I include as a
Yeah.
dividend stock because like 0.4%.
Yeah. It's not much.
I
No.
think again, this is really not financial advice, but their financials over the last like year and a half are up. Like really, like we just talked about, they're up like 70% year over year based on EPS, which is based on net income.
Mhm.
Um, And that 13 cents has been going on for a little while. In my opinion, my not financial advice opinion, I think we're going to see a solid dividend raise this year. That point
Hmm.
4 is looking low, and we know their financials are improving.
Yeah. I mean, if it goes up with the dividend, it's just more people are just gonna go into it. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as a dividend investor, a lot of other investors in the same boat. Our portfolios are pretty full of like your
Hmm.
consumer staples, your consumer discretionaries. I mean, your Coca-Colas, your Home Depots, your Pepsis. Every now and then, a little bit of tech. If you want to include like Apple and Microsoft, even though
Hmm.
their yields are Meta now it's a lot, in my opinion, a lot of dividend investors overlook a lot of the pharmaceutical stocks. And I think can't quote one off the top of my head, but I think some of them have some nice yield, and it's some nice diversity to your portfolio, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm. So a question, guys, I guess this goes to you, Manny, too. If you have some experience with pharmaceutical, like what would you, if you were a value trader, if you want to buy something from an early on and make like good profits, what would you look at a pharmaceutical factory, a pharmaceutical company, rather than just financials, current pipeline? What would you normally look? Like for me, I'll just name it. I look at how they establish links with universities for clinical research, etc., and how they support research and development for
I
top
think
talent in the world.
definitely like one of the number one things. Also, I when I look at pharma companies, I also look at trials.
Mm-hmm.
Not because necessarily I think they're going to pass trials, but trials are a time where it's volatile, the stock, either up or down. So you don't have to just like buy the stock. You can also do things like butterfly options trading, which only focuses on the volatility of it. It's not financial advice, but
if anyone uses the term butterfly options, it is literally never financial advice. Because don't worry, you can make some money doing it. You can lose a lot of money doing it too.
yeah. I mean, it's just something that I look at when I invest in a pharma stock. I think what is coming up their pipeline is a very important part of what makes a pharma stock tick.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
cool.
I 100% agree.
Just for fun, I was just checking Denmark's GDP, and it's pretty close. So you just see the scale, how big pharmaceutical companies, even from a smaller country, can get with the global outreach.
Yeah.
So it's kind of on par with the countries.
Yeah, no kidding.
Kind of breaking news. If we had done tech stocks, 7.5 magnitude earthquake in Taiwan.
Oh wow.
Ooh.
Like not 10 minutes ago.
Wow.
It's gonna affect the transistors.
Yeah, TSM, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing.
Yeah.
They're under massive tsunami warnings. So,
oh god.
If nothing else, prayers to everyone in Taiwan.
For sure. Does NVIDIA have facilities there? Do you know?
I don't think so, because
Okay.
I think Taiwan is all TSM.
Yeah.
Don't quote me. I could be totally wrong on that, but I'm pretty confident. I mean, Taiwan's not big, land mass wise.
Yeah, land mass was very small. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, let's move on to the other one.
Yeah.
The other one is, why is it not changing? Okay, so weekly number 2, AbbVie. So this is my pick. AbbVie is another pharmaceutical company. This time it's from the States. It's from North Chicago. Apparently that's the city. Obviously, me not being very educated in the American map, I didn't know that North Chicago is a state, is a city. Apparently there's Chicago and North Chicago. So this was founded in 2012. It's actually a split from a much larger, like very prominent company called Abbott Laboratories. And they were founded around like 150 years ago. So they're one of the top ones in the States. They focus a lot on nutrition, nutritional support level drugs, mostly prescription. You can find a product list of Abbott. But I guess AbbVie isn't Abbott anymore, even though it started as a subsidiary. It currently trades solo. And all these financials and things we're talking about is AbbVie related. Abbott also has its own stock too. Can't remember the ticker for that. But AbbVie is ABBV. So what AbbVie does is, like I said, it started already with, significant, I guess, know-how, expertise, and cash at hand to begin with, because it's a split. But at the same time, like straight from the IPO, they had a really good run. Can't remember exactly what was the first couple of years of the IPO. I think it went public around like 2017 or 18. I'll have to check. But just year over year, it's up 14%, which is pretty healthy. Again, market cap pretty similar to the previous one, quite large actually. 322 billion is like very large. What they focus on is they focus on chronic autoimmune diseases like blood cancers, hepatitis C, HIV also, but mostly chronic autoimmune diseases. Don't ask me what they are because I don't really know much about them. But essentially, like what they're known for is they have a couple of famous drugs. I think the most famous one, how do you spell it, Joseph, again? Humira or Humira?
Humira.
Humira.
Humira. Yeah, so it's an anti-inflammation drug, and apparently, like, it's really fixes certain things. And I don't know if it's like just the symptoms, or because you were sharing a personal story, I think, just before the
Yes,
call
yes.
about your dad's. Like, so what was it about
Yeah,
again?
my dad has Crohn's disease, which again, I go back to John F. and I are basically the opposite of doctors. Um, it's something to do with one. I'm not sure if it's the cause or like a side effect of the disease is like your bowels get very large and inflamed, and that can cause, without going into it, a whole host of issues. And Humira works to directly, like John said, it's an anti-inflammation to get rid of that swelling and that inflammation to, of course, for number one, reduce pain, but also to reduce other side effects of the inflammation. And some of those, I can again speak from my dad having Crohn's, are they you need multiple surgeries to fix. So it's I
So
think
in
he
your case, it was quite beneficial, I guess.
yeah, he's
You
been
know.
getting Humira once a month for like 5 years now, and there was a solid like 7 or 8 year stretch. He was averaging between a month and like 2 months in the hospital per year. Has not been
Mhm.
back since he started once a month Humira. So
Makes sense.
Well, that's good to hear about your dad.
it
So
works.
yeah, so from a I guess economics perspective, how many people do you think would benefit from that specific drug?
Okay, I can rant about that too. So, Crohn's disease specifically has one of two causes. You either inherited it or you got it from the environment.
Mhm.
So, I do not have a family history of it. It popped up in my dad for the first time, which means he got it from the environment. So, the US military, and I'm going to put this on the record, I don't care if this goes on YouTube, was giving people experimental drugs. The idea, if you got the something to do with like they were getting ready for a gas attack,
Mm.
or like they were most prominent during Desert Storm, Desert Shield, but they can be traced like even all the way into Iraq. Those drugs are now known to cause Crohn's disease.
You
So
know.
at least in the U.S., our veteran population, especially our overseas veterans,
Mm-hmm.
Most of them.
Humira is going to do some great work for them in the future, if it's not already.
Okay.
Um, Past that,
So
I'm
yeah,
sure there are other things. I know.
and so veterans they get free healthcare, so they would get it basically.
What veteran do you know gets free healthcare?
Where
And
They
would
don't.
I
they
They don't.
go?
They don't get free healthcare.
it's a big it depends. If you are there's different levels of disability that can come with like free healthcare.
Hmm.
But other people like my dad is like 60 or 70% disabled per the military.
Mm-hmm.
Has private health insurance. He could not get
Oh,
insurance through the
really?
VA.
I had no idea. I thought the whole point of going to the army was just getting free healthcare and free college.
No, 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 no. And also my dad also didn't get free college.
Well,
Wow.
so there goes my argument. I was gonna say everybody could get one, but
No,
all right. So I mean, sure. So that helps. So that's good. So how long has that been in the market?
that I do
Uh,
not know. That's a good question. Also, John, I looked it up. AbbVie went live trading December 14th, 2012.
so okay, so it's foundation year they went to IPO then. Okay, so I
Yep.
guess I misremembered. I think I said 2015 or 16, so my apologies.
No.
Humira
They got
says it
two
was first
drugs.
approved 2002, so it's been on the market for a while,
Yep. And
like 20
also,
years.
yeah, approved in Europe in 2003 as well.
Yeah, I mean,
Amazing.
so I guess could you say that that is also already like baked into the price of this thing then?
Well, I would say yes, because I mean, here I am
Yeah.
pulling up an article from 2018 on pharmaceuticaltechnology.com. At the time, Humira was the world's best selling drug.
Oh wow.
Mhm. for a period of time. I was reading about that. Not only that it's incorporated, I think it's actually not performing well. I think
So
it's
now,
slowing down
yeah, it's been 20
competition.
years, so I'm pretty sure there are generics now.
More than
Yeah,
likely.
So
The
I
patent
guess
is
exactly.
gone.
so. It's great. It was a great thing for this company, but maybe not so much anymore. Then
Exactly. And I think that's reflected in the low point. So somehow they recovered. I need to do a little bit more due diligence, but their earnings per share went down. And there was a period of time, I believe 6 or 7 months ago, that it was actually trading as low as 127. They came back to life with Skyrise and Rinvoq. These are the newest drugs that they released, got their FDO approved recently, and they're in the market right now. So they are kind of like saving the day. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I think Humira kind of like lived its lifespan in terms of like being a game changer
Yeah,
for them.
can I jump in on that real quick? So going
Please.
again, I'm doing live due diligence as we talk. So in 2018, no, 2017, yes, in 2017, Humira accounted for 18.9 billion USD in revenue for AbbVie. In
Wow.
in 2023, that number was down to 14.4 billion.
See, like already.
yeah, they're
So
already
yeah,
And you
it,
would expect it to actually go up, right? Normally, like with the inflation and everything.
you think,
But
and
it's going
and
down.
per routers also, they're expecting that number to go down as low as 12 billion by 2027. So sales are, like FA said, decreasing, and they're decreasing pretty quickly.
hmm
Yeah,
So
like
I
10%
guess
every year.
one big upside to this stock is the dividend yield. So
Yes,
3.4. So
That's why I picked it. It's
but
actually the top dividends in healthcare.
I thought Joseph picked it.
no, I picked Novo Nordisk.
I see.
This
Okay.
was all John. I think I used to held AbbVie at some point, but I think I panic
So
sold.
I guess from like a more not longer term, but a medium to long term solution to like if you get this and then rely on the dividend to actually give you some return and hope for
Mhm.
maybe something down the pipeline. So like look at the trials because if they've done it once, maybe they'll be able to do it again, sort
You
of
think?
thing. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
Rinvoq. I heard about Rinvoq too, by the way.
I
It's
I've seen the
Hmm.
commercials. I think
yeah,
that's newer, isn't it?
yeah. That must be
It's
new.
very new. Yeah.
So maybe that's ramping up because they I see so much advertisements on that one. So maybe it's
Hmm. I
uh,
mean, obviously, they strike me as like a company with the money, right? Especially, you know, making this much money from Humira. I guess like they've got marketing budgets. Because
Oh,
I've
for
never seen
sure.
anything from NBO ever. Actually, like I've never
yeah.
heard of those drugs.
Well,
I've seen Ozempic, but yeah.
I was gonna say, have you not seen the Ozempic commercials?
Not in Canada.
Well,
They
yeah.
don't
I
allow
don't live in the States.
yeah
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
they don't allow drug advertisements outside of the US.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, and here's
Yeah.
the thing, like I am not diabetic. I would not qualify as an Ozempic user, but it's my YouTube recommendations all the time. They're
Did
putting
not know
money
that.
into it. John's totally right.
Yeah. Yeah, so totally if you I feel like this one is maybe more like buy it for the dividend yield and hope for the best for Rinvoq or something.
Hmm.
That's kind of what I'm getting from it. So, I mean, it's not financial advice. Probably, I would probably like skip this for myself, for my purposes, but I think it's a
Yeah.
good pick anyway, like to discuss.
Yeah. We can go on to the final one, I guess. BioNTech. This is probably, everybody probably in this world during COVID got somewhat familiar with the names of the vaccines. There's Pfizer, there's Johnson and Johnson, I think, right? AstraZeneca, there was Moderna, and there was BioNTech. These five were the top ones. And then I think there was a Chinese one, but I don't even know if it had a name or
Yeah, I
was
don't
it
think the
more
Chinese
generic.
one was real. Uh,
Yeah, or maybe not even real. I don't know.
yeah, I
So
heard it's
BioNTech
fake.
was one of the top three. It was very common in Europe because it's from Europe. It's from Germany, Mainz or Mainz. It's attracted a lot of investments during COVID, actually, which is weird because they came up with the vaccine, and then they generated the supply line, like enough cash to market and create a supply line almost with the government support and extra investment, because they were so small at the beginning. But they had a breakthrough vaccine. Like they came up with this one, Comirnaty, which is likely on your vaccine records. Right next to it, it says, because that's the vaccine type, I guess, or the ingredient in the vaccine. So it's the third one, I think, in terms of like vaccine producers in the world, I think, after Moderna and Pfizer. It did slow down quite substantially though since 2023, to a point that it's like down, I think, like 250%. I have to double check this. And EPS also did decline. You can see year over year, sorry, I'm wrong. Year over year, it did decline 40%, but between 2021 to 2023, it did went down further than this. So 2023 to 2024, I think it went down 40%, but even like a year or two ago, it went down even more substantially. It had a really good peak during the first year of COVID, like 2020 to 2021. Currently, it's trading at $92. It's seen within the last 12 months, it's seen as high as 131, also as low as 85. So it's trading really closer to the low end of things right now. Doesn't offer dividends. And it has a much smaller, larger cap market cap versus NBO and the other pick, which was AbbVie. Also much smaller, larger cap versus competition like Pfizer, for example. What really excites me about them is their pipeline, because I know a little bit about the company, their founders and stuff. You remember when I was mentioning like how much they invest in like research and development, affiliation with the universities, etc. Like this is one of those companies. It's so hard to work on one screen right now. I'm just trying to find the pipeline here. No, this is not it. Sorry, I'm just gonna stop sharing for one quick second.
No worries.
You're afraid you're gonna share something bad.
My weird stuff.
God, Efe, you had
Back.
to call. You had to call him out, Efe. You had to call him out.
Yeah, someone had to point it, right? Breakthrough technologies across different drug classes to revolutionize medicine. So there's 4 in preclinical trial phase, sorry, preclinical phase. There's 25 in phase 1, 11 phase 2, and then 4 in phase 4. I think I already downloaded it. I'm going to download the summary. And here you can see the roadmap. So if you go to BioNTech's very own website, you can just Google BioNTech drugs on the pipeline. You can see their roadmap and when they're going to be releasing roughly and what stage they are. I'm just speculating right now because I'm by no means subject matter expert, but I'm guessing after phase 3, it finishes the clinical trials, or maybe it will enter the clinical trials. And after that, there's also something further, which is to, in the US, it's FDA, different countries have different bodies. You need to also get that approval granted before you can marketize it, be on the market. So I guess phase 3 completion doesn't necessarily mean that it's ready to be rolled out in the States. But there's cell therapies, protein-based therapeutics, SMI, toll-like receptor binding. So, and just different classes of vaccines. Like they still produce COVID-19 vaccine, influenza, HSV, tuberculosis, malaria, Mpox, and shingles. So, as long as these illnesses are around, there's always some room for them to grow, I guess. But also they're like focusing on like other stuff, like cell therapies, for example. So it's an interesting company to look. It could be a healthy dip. It could be not, I guess. Like we said, like we're not giving trading advice, but at the same time, I will do a little bit more due diligence, I guess, in terms of their financial backing and their cash at hand right now, because I want to see if they're struggling more than I think, because it might be the case that the stock artificially inflated due to expectations and valuation, but then COVID ended. So it might be obviously back to pre-COVID levels or close to pre-COVID levels, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the company isn't any good. It's just maybe going to be a slow progression now, like more natural progression. versus during COVID. I think it's still a solid company. I think it's it's the largest vaccine producer as far as I know in continental Europe. Because I think Johnson and Johnson's British, but I gotta check. But also like they're focusing on more than vaccines still. So definitely an interesting stock. They don't operate dividends. I think I mentioned that. And
Yeah,
since
slowing down soon.
IPO, they went up 556%. Even today, they are up 556%, which is much lower than where they were at since their IPO. And S&P only went up 79% during this time frame. So it's all relative, I guess. If you say BioNTech is dead, there's no more gains in it. I think that would be a false claim because even at this rate, which is 300% less than roughly 3 years ago, it's still a solid stock if you had it since IPO.
Yeah.
So
I think worth in the portfolio. Sorry to cut you off, Joseph. Go
no,
ahead.
no. Please cut me off because I'm about to spew random BS. I also think it's interesting that they listed themselves on the Nasdaq. I say that because Nasdaq, traditionally speaking, at least, a very tech heavy index. Whereas you think of your New York Stock Exchange as more of your pharmaceuticals and other types of businesses. So, and also with having tech in the name, I guess are they more than just a pharmaceutical vaccine whatever company? Are we looking again to go back to like the bio tech and the CRISPR stocks like we talked about?
That's a good question. Do they have any they do have some sort of CRISPR gene editing technology stuff going, I guess. So that could be part of that future. So like we said, like I do think that there's a future in that. So this is one of the horses basically in that race then.
Very much so. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out, guys. I completely forgot, and I read about this even yesterday that they do prefer to be like almost like seen as a healthcare technology company rather than just vaccine producer, full stop, because that's very limiting for them versus range of their research and products.
Yeah. Thanks for pointing that out, actually, Joseph. I think that changes a lot about this company for me because I wasn't really gonna look into it, but then I'm looking into it now, and there are definitely some innovations when it comes to that CRISPR technology, and I do believe there's going to be a huge shift from AI to this thing. Probably like within the next 5 years at least.
So one more thing before we go, this is a just general trading question, and this one's for John. John, you used the term healthy dip earlier, but didn't go too much into it. When you are looking at, you are the value investor of the group. When you're looking at a value play, how do you define a healthy dip?
Oh, that's another good question. I guess I kind of do healthy dip analysis on my own. I don't necessarily use a methodology like say canceling, for example, or there's different types. But what I look at is basically their revenues, their cost of sales, how much cash at hand, their debt to income ratio, their EBITDA, their management, and then just make a formula on my own almost. Sometimes it's here, sometimes I put it down and like try to work it out. But yeah, at the end of the day, for me, a healthy dip would be where the stock isn't generating debts, still profitable, revenue generating, but the price doesn't reflect that yet. To me, it's that. Or it has a huge potential to go upwards because of something on the pipeline, or they're at the right time, right industry with the right products, or they just made a deal, for example. Sometimes it's not on the mainstream news, but if you know that the company just had one of its verticals had like a large enterprise deal, and if it's a medium-sized company, it might change the game for them, or some sort of a breakthrough technology. So it's really a combination of these. I don't think it's necessarily a very technical term. I think it's more like a social media term, healthy dip. I don't think like real stock traders or brokers would use that, but maybe they do nowadays.
I mean, they might. So like when a company does too well, people are gonna take some profit. So that's what we call we could call a healthy dip, basically. It's like you want to invest in it, but you also want to like take some money off of it sometimes.
But I do want to like
Average
shout
down,
out,
basically.
Yeah.
yes. I do want to shout out John also because man, you kind of just gave the most textbook Warren Buffett definition of value investing I've ever heard. And that's not, I'm not trying to make fun of you or like joke. That is dead serious. All right, I mean,
Thanks.
are we a
I
clapping?
appreciate it.
Are we a clapping meetup group or a snapping? Like, which one are we?
I don't think we're rich enough to do the snapping thing.
Not yet until we pick better stocks.
Oh yeah.
We might get there soon.
What if we start a meme coin?
Cool. We're almost up at 1 hour actually. So if there's any questions or anything like that, you can always find us at marketplace.com. We're there. Just create a topic or just ask us, shoot a message, whatever. Just join there. But we're gonna do this every week where we discuss different stocks and then change the portfolios of a specific hub. This week was Pharma. So next week we'll have to still pick a topic. I don't think we anything aligned just yet, but we'll send out an email
For sure.
to everybody. And we're also gonna send the recording of this meetup for those who missed it. And yeah, thank you for joining. If you have any questions, just put it in the chat and we'll try to.
That are topic, questions, concerns, feedback.
Yeah.
Uh,
Anything we should do better? For me, get a haircut or something like that.
yeah, you and me both, friend. You and me both. First thing my wife said when she got home from work today is I opened the door and she went, "You need a haircut." I'm like, "Ah, great to see you too."
All right. Well, if that's it, then we can wrap it up. And thank you for joining.
Oh yeah, very much. Thank you all, and we will see you next week at 8 p.m. Eastern, same time, same place.
Yep.
See you guys.
See ya.